Zimbabwe on the boil. Amid a police crackdown, Morgan Tsvangirai is arrested. The MDC says he has been severely beaten in custody. Police now say they never investigated a case of drunk driving against Robert McBride.
Of energy.
And Jamaica gears up for the Cricket World Cup.
South Africa.
Live from Johannesburg, this is E-News Prime Time. A very good evening. Zimbabwe's meltdown under Robert Mugabe is back in the headlines again. One youth was killed and dozens of opposition supporters arrested during clashes with riot police yesterday. Morgan Tsvangirai, leader of the opposition Movement for Democratic Change, is among those detained, and his lawyers say he has been severely beaten in custody.
There's no television footage of Sunday's clashes, one result of Zimbabwe's suppression of the media. And it seems another of Robert Mugabe's restrictions on basic freedoms lay behind the trouble. The Zimbabwean president has banned all political gatherings for 3 months. And that was the excuse riot police used to crush Sunday's protest. They arrested Morgan Tsvangirai and 5 other opposition officials. His lawyers claim he has been severely assaulted in jail and needed hospital treatment. Tsvangirai's allies say they'll continue to defy Mugabe's crackdown.
Yesterday's arrests will take the people's agenda forward. Our demands are just and legitimate, and the peaceful struggle will not cease until a new, free, prosperous and democratic dispensation unfolds in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe's state-sanctioned newspaper, The Herald, claims Tsvangirai was inciting violence and that police shot dead a 17-year-old youth in self-defense. While all this is happening, the South African Foreign Affairs Department tells us that their stance remains that the people of Zimbabwe must find their own solution to the political problems currently facing their country. Mugabe's crackdown has intensified as Zimbabwe slides further into crisis. He's clearly preparing for more trouble. In recent days, all police leave has been cancelled. Macintosh Nzimande, E-News, Pretoria.
And earlier, Macintosh spoke to Dumisani Muleya, the chief reporter at the Zimbabwe Independent in Harare. He began by asking Dumisani what prompted yesterday's riots.
The government is fearing that with the strikes all over the place and that sort of thing, if the opposition is allowed to organize freely, uninterrupted by the state security forces, they can be able to marshal a critical mass of people into the streets and, of course, possibly overthrow the government if they're allowed to come to the streets in their large numbers.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And what's the feeling among Zimbabwean people? Do they feel that South Africa is letting them down by not intervening publicly?
Well, yeah, a lot of people, they've a really long time ago, they've given up on the South African initiatives because they believe that South Africa is simply unable to be helpful in the situation. People are really looking internally now as to how they can find ways of organizing themselves and dealing with the situation, using their own resources, using their own kind of initiative. South Africa really, as far as the ordinary people are concerned, is out of the picture now.
That was Dumisani Muleya, the chief reporter at the Zimbabwe Independent, on the line from Harare to E-News reporter Macintosh Nzimande. The ANC may not have to pay back money donated to it by alleged corporate crook Brett Kebble. If the party took the money in good faith, it may be able to keep it. Kebble allegedly stole millions of rands from shareholders in his own companies. He used much of it to bankroll political parties and businessmen.
Brett Kebble's funeral brought together a quite astonishing array of South Africa's top political and business heavyweights. Already there were allegations he was a crook, but perhaps now we have a clue why he was so popular. Kebble gave 24 million rand to the ANC, mainly in the Western and Eastern Cape, 6 million rand to the ANC Youth League, and a whopping 14 million rand to prominent Youth League member Lunga Xwana. In return for what, we don't yet know. Now the trustees of the murdered Kebble's estate want the money to be paid back to shareholders. But it may not be that easy.
If a person receives stolen money in good faith and for valuable consideration, then you cannot claim the money back.
The ANC's Western Cape Provincial Secretary Ngobisi Skwatsha says the ANC couldn't afford to return the money anyway.
We ask for donations, and when people come forward to offer such donations, we don't ask them whether they are criminals or not.
The Democratic Alliance has paid back the 250,000 rand it received from Kebble. One of the trustees of Kebble's estate, Hans Kloppers, says they're confident they have a case. Hans Kloppers says negotiations are continuing with the likes of the ANC, but the trustees are also taking legal advice, meaning that this messy business could yet end up in court. Ben said, E-News, Johannesburg.
A 24-year-old Cape Town man will appear in court tomorrow for the brutal murder of little Anastasia Visser. He was arrested late last night, hours after the 11-year-old's naked body was found in the ceiling of her own home. Anastasia had been missing since Friday.
Still torn apart with grief, the mother of Anastasia Visser is led into her home by police. The Mitchells Plain house had been packed with friends, family and journalists a day earlier, when Anastasia's naked body was found in the ceiling. The 11-year-old's father had noticed a bad smell and had gone up to investigate. Initial reports indicate that Anastasia had been strangled and sexually assaulted. A very close friend of the family was taken in for questioning just hours after the body was found. He was charged with murder late on Sunday night. The 24-year-old will appear in court on Tuesday. Police continue to question Janine Visser on the mysterious circumstances surrounding her daughter's death. They say she is not a suspect and is merely helping them piece together the events leading up to the gruesome discovery of the little girl's body. Janine Visser reported her daughter missing on Friday afternoon. She's told police she personally fetched Anastasia from school that day because she had a feeling something bad was going to happen. Robin Smith, E-News, Cape Town.
Let's take a look now at how the markets have performed today. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Chief Robert McBride was never investigated for alleged drunken driving. This has been revealed in Parliament by Safety and Security Minister Charles Nqakula.
Robert McBride rolled his car last December while apparently dashing to an emergency call. Witnesses told police that he appeared to have been drunk. But McBride was whisked away from the accident scene by unidentified people before a blood test could be done. Minister Charles Nqakula has now confirmed that police investigated a case of reckless and negligent driving. The docket was handed to prosecutors last month, but they still have to decide whether or not to charge McBride.